Hello, ladies. Welcome. I hope you all are doing well. So, today I am going to be reading from the book Cats Don't Chase Dogs. What can the wisdom of the feline teach women about life, love, dating, and relationships? And this book by Kara King is fairly new. It was released a few months ago. You may be familiar with Kara King. She is the author of the book The Power of the Pussy, which is a classic in my opinion. I really enjoyed that book and I enjoyed this book as well. So the book has 6 chapters. They are Chapter 1, If Men Are Dogs, Women Are Cats. Chapter 2, Cats Don't Chase Dogs. Chapter 3, Cats Don't Care What You Think. Chapter 4, Cats Are Cautious. Chapter 5, Cats Relax. Chapter 6, Cats Are Mystical. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to read a bit of the introduction, and then I think I'm going to jump right into chapter 1 and try to read a bit of chapter 2. Introduction. Picasso once said, "There are only 2 types of women, goddesses and doormats." As an author of women's dating advice books, I set out to discover why this harsh statement seemed to be true for a lot of women. I've seen some of the most beautiful women struggle with men, dating, and relationships, while some seemingly average women have the magical ability to play men like fiddles, proving there's much more to this goddess stuff than just being attractive. What's the difference between a woman who's made to feel like a doormat and a woman who's made to feel like a goddess? Why do some women struggle with men, love, and relationships, while others command attention, commitment, and adoration from men? In my quest for answers, I decided to look back to a rare time in history when women were powerful leaders who dominated and ruled their society with strength, honor, and dignity. Ancient Egypt held a clue. The ancient Egyptians honored many animals, but the feline, who they believed had divine energy, was regarded as the most special and important of them all. They even worshipped a cat goddess named Bastet, who was often portrayed as half feline and half woman. The ancient Egyptians embraced a wisdom that has since been forgotten. Women and cats are mystical and magnificent creatures. The message became clear. If men are dogs, then women are cats indeed. Okay, I'm going to stop with the introduction there. She goes on for a few more pages, and it's definitely worth reading, so I do recommend that you get the book so that you can read through the entire thing. Okay, so I'm going to read a bit of chapter 1. If men are dogs, women are cats. Dogs and cats interact with the world around them in completely different ways, just like men and women. As women, we're wise to recognize these differences rather than to assume that men and women have the same mentalities when it comes to dating, mating, love, relationships, and life in general. Although this is a straightforward and somewhat obvious observation, it's very important we go over this concept briefly. So the first thing I want to address is the basic principle of yin and yang, a wisdom so old it dates back to ancient China. As some of you may already know, yin and yang is the understanding that there are things in the natural world that are complementary to one another, although they are complete opposites. These opposite forces need one another because they give balance, harmony, and wholeness to each other as they each carry out their unique roles within the world. For example, day and night, black and white, up and down, hot and cold, negative and positive, etc. Having one without the other takes away from the beauty and effectiveness of each of the balanced, yet opposing forces. It's easy for us to acknowledge that these opposing forces need their counterpart when it's as clear cut as the examples above, but with the human element of male and female, suddenly words like need, complementary, and whole become offensive and degrading. It doesn't have to be this way, but we've swung the pendulum of feminism so far to the other side that we went from submissive domestication to proclaiming that we don't need men at all. We literally went from one extreme to the other, and everyone knows that living in extremes is not healthy. It's time to find balance. Have you ever looked back at those 1950s advertisements? You know, the ones where women were encouraged to douche with Lysol, give their baby soda, and smoke cigarettes to be healthier? Perhaps you thought to yourself, what in the world were they thinking? Well, I have a feeling if we continue down the rigid path we've been traveling, our grandchildren are going to look back at us and ask the same question about our odd behaviors, which are deemed normal by today's standards. Instead of douching with Lysol, our stupidity revolves around the way we're working ourselves to death. It also involves constant judgment and criticism reserved solely for women. It's also present in the fact that we embrace and even encourage an unhealthy imbalance that doesn't serve our best interests. We can see examples of this all around us. We see it when a mother gives birth and is expected to be back at work in 6 weeks, stitches in her vagina still healing, breast tender and sore, but there she is, forced to take on the challenge when she really should be resting and bonding with her baby. We also see how this unhealthy extreme has given people the right to constantly judge a woman's decisions. Everyone has an opinion about the choice a woman makes, from big decisions like whether or not to have children, to breastfeed or formula feed, to work or be a stay-at-home mom, to the smallest decisions like what she's wearing, who she's effing, and even what she's saying or how she's saying it. Women have become stuck in a vortex between two worlds. The standards have changed and we've seen progression, yet there are still rules, expectations, and condemnation reserved solely for women. And I'm going to stop there just to say she is so on point with that. It's so true. And the really unfortunate thing about that is that it's often women being so extremely judgmental of other women's choices, as if their way of being or doing is the only way and the right way. So I'm going to skip ahead a bit. Okay, I'll start reading here again. This is still chapter 1. I genuinely think that feminism is amazing, and I know I wouldn't have been able to write the controversial books I've written about without it. Feminism is necessary and essential, but if we're being completely honest, and I mean brutally, unapologetically honest, there's something we forgot to address along the way: the balance between males and females. We're ignoring the fact that we do actually need each other, like each other, complement one another, and create a complete picture when we're together. This balancing act of male and female energy working together in harmony to create wholeness is Mother Nature's intention, a naturally occurring phenomenon, one that cannot be pushed aside during our pursuit for equality. And ladies, that's pretty much what this book is about. So I definitely recommend that you do get the book and read it. She has a very I really like her writing style. She's very matter of fact and funny in some of the things that she says, and she drives home her point really well. I'm going to read a little bit of chapter 2 just so you can, because I said that I would, just so that you can get an idea of this chapter as well. Chapter 2 is titled Cats Don't Chase Dogs. So, chapter 2, Cats Don't Chase Dogs. One big reason why a lot of us haven't been succeeding in the world of men and dating is because we've been ignoring one of the key differences between men and women, the need to chase. Consider this information. Dogs hunt by chasing their prey, while cats hunt by catching their prey by surprise. This is an important contrast to analyze, especially if you desire to ditch the doormat mentality and obtain the goddess mindset. A huge part of the problem for women when it comes to dating and relationships is that many of us fight against this notion. Many think this throw of the hunt mentality is immature, foolish, and silly. This is a prime example of fighting against the natural instincts of the opposite sex. Disagreeing and denouncing the wants, needs, and desires of men is not going to change them. I'm going to stop here, ladies, just to say, how many times have you heard women who say, I don't have time for those games. I'm not about playing games. I'm not going to play games. I'm upfront. I'm honest. I say what I want. Or maybe you even think that way yourself when it comes to dating men. I know that you've heard that or you've said that yourself, when in reality, the game playing is a part of the dating process. And even when someone decides that they're not going to participate, they don't realize that they're still participating. It's just up to you how you show up and choose to participate. So let's see here. Okay, so I'll read a little bit more of this. It's the same. It's the next paragraph, actually. One of the best things we can do to win in the dating world is to accept that what we may deem as foolish and immature is something that's actually very important to men. Ignoring this fact, getting offended by it, or criticizing it is not going to change their natural instincts. And in fact, it's kind of assholish of us to think that it should. Why should they stop doing something that makes them happy, satisfied, and fulfilled? So I'm going to stop reading there, and I'll tell you some of the headings here in chapter 2. The next heading is before, during, and after, which is discussing before, during, and after the dating process. Then she has working with nature, not against it, silly boys, and that's the end of chapter 2. So like I said, the book is really, it's a good book. Her last books were really good. I have those as well. And let me just scroll back here and I will read the table of contents in a little more detail for you here, because I just read just the headers. So I'll go to let me go to, I'll do the last chapter. So in chapter 6, it's Cats Are Mystical. And the headings here are manfluence versus the mystical female, the 6 choices, a mystical woman, don't crash your Lamborghini, seduction via personality, seduction via conquest. Oh, just happened to my Kindle. Sorry, bringing it back up here. I don't know, my Kindle has been acting really weird lately. I hope it's not about to just give up on me or something, because it's just been like freezing, and at one point I was showing like thousands of pages for books that only have a few pages. Okay, so here it is. I think I was at seduction via conquest. So then it's establishing the hunt, sexual seduction, equality versus empowerment, assignment 1, assignment 2, additional resources. And she has 2 assignments. I'm not going to tell you what those are, because like I said, you really should get the book and go through it. It's a really good book. Like I said, she has a really nice style of writing that's really entertaining. So again, this book is Cats Don't Chase Dogs, What Can the Wisdom of the Feline Teach Women About Life, Love, Dating, and Relationships by Kara King. And I hope you enjoyed this review. Thank you.